Welcome to the NCAA Softball Super Regional presented by Capital One. A near-capacity crowd for day one of our Super in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's an SEC Series showdown between the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Ole Miss Rebels as we welcome you to Bogle Park. Already some upsets in this road to the Women's College World Series. Of course, Liberty taking down #1 seed Texas A&M, the first time ever that a 1 seed went down. Ole Miss taking down seeded Arizona to get to the Super Regional here in Fayetteville. Hi again, everybody. Matt Schumacher alongside the Hall of Famer Kenzie Fowler with you. She was at that regional in Tucson, so you've already seen this Ole Miss team create havoc in this tournament against an Arkansas team, Kenzie, that feels like they've got some pressure hosting their third Super Regional in the last 5 years.
And we saw it yesterday with the first day of Supers, with the host team losing, having the upsets, with the road team coming in and making some noise. And to your point, Ole Miss is a team that has already made some noise in a hostile environment in Tucson. So can that continue for the Rebels, or for Arkansas? Is this a team that can get over that hump and finally punch their ticket to OKC?
Well, for Ole Miss, this is a team that all year has sort of just hovered under the radar, but offensively one of the most dynamic teams in the country. The long ball, Kenzie, has been a big part of that.
The ball flew in Tucson, but I don't care where Ole Miss was playing last weekend. They were just swinging it 1 through 9. This is a very veteran team that has a couple of sparkles of youth with their freshmen, Mackenzie Pickens, Percy Yamas, but the big swingers, Lexi Brady, Aaliyah Binford, the best offensive season in program history for Ole Miss.
63 home runs this year for Ole Miss, a big improvement. Meanwhile, the Razorbacks coming off a record-breaking regional, first no-hitter in an NCAA tournament game thrown by Peyton Burnham right here against St. Louis. Their first walk-off win in an NCAA tournament game and their first run rule victory against Oklahoma State, snapping the Cowgirls' streak of 5 straight trips to Oklahoma City. But you can't talk about Arkansas without talking about a top 3 finalist for National Player of the Year, Bree Ellis.
We're going to be talking about her this entire weekend, and for good reason. Every single stat, she smashed it. Bree Ellis having a career year in her senior season for Arkansas, one of the best in not only program history, but in NCAA softball history. And it's just a matter of, will she get pitched to? We will see. It's about the hitters in front of her and the hitters behind her.
Well, she told us it's been so long since I've seen a strike in a game that 2 days ago she had the GA giving her extra batting practice here in Bogle Park just so she could get back into that rhythm. They will start in the field as the home team, and in the circle it's the first-year ace, Robin Herron.
Yeah, big moment for a pitcher that has gotten better every single season. So this is it. This is her moment, what she has been practicing for. She's been the go-to girl, the lefty, spins it very well, has good velo, but it's the changeup that is the separator for her. She's going to throw a couple to each batter every time she's pitching in the circle.
Well, let's take a look at the Ole Miss Rebels starting lineup brought to you by Capital One. They are 7-4 this year against left-handed pitchers. Of course, Robin Herron is a lefty, and they have seen her before. Ole Miss took 2 of 3 against Arkansas, and they have been hot. Percy Yamas, especially at the middle of that lineup, was tremendous in the Tucson Regional. Jaden Pone leads things off to start the Super here in Fayetteville. And the first pitch misses high, ball 1.
And I was kind of joking with you before we came on air that this place was so amped. And Arkansas going out on defense as a pitcher, I'm trying to get my heart rate down, trying to relax, pitch at my 80%, and the energy and the buzz in this ballpark is real.
Just feels like this is one of those seasons that the Fayetteville fans have felt that anticipation building each week of the regular season. And then, of course, in the postseason, Hogs have won 5 of their last 6. The only loss, of course, was that walk-off defeat to Oklahoma in the SEC tournament. And as we talked about, Kenzie, for this program, they've been knocking on the door over the last 5 years. What Courtney Deifel has done since taking over in 2015, nothing short of miraculous. But the next step is a trip to OKC.
Well, one of these teams is punching their ticket for the first time ever, so that is exciting, number one. But it's kind of a dangerous matchup for Courtney Deifel and for Arkansas because, like we just talked about, Ole Miss, their whole run, their whole identity is to play spoiler. Very comfortable being that underdog, not only here in postseason, but it's kind of what they've done in the regular season, right? Going into, of course, the SEC is one of the toughest. The gauntlet that you're going to see in the schedule. Spoiler, taking one here, taking one there, not allowing any sweeps to happen. And then, of course, you catch fire. And the way they've been swinging offensively in the postseason, see if they can continue that this weekend.
2-2 to Jaden Pone. Pops it up left side. Back on it, Riho, and sends to left fielder Reagan Kramer, one down. Boutte will come to the plate in the 2 spot. One of 16 newcomers this year for Ole Miss. Off the glove of Bree Ellis. Quickly 2 outs in the first. And it's interesting, Kenzie, you talk about this being a dangerous matchup for Arkansas. We saw that in the regular season. Ole Miss was one of 2 SEC teams to win a regular season series against Arkansas. The other was Oklahoma. Pretty good company for the Rebels.
And we've been talking about if that series between Arkansas for Ole Miss, like who does it play advantage for? But it was so long ago. Back in March, these teams are completely different now than they were 2 months ago.
Jamie Traxel, former coach at Minnesota, and a handful of other schools helped the Gophers reach the Women's College World Series. As Ole Miss in their first Super since 2019. And as Kenzie alluded to in the open, sort of playing with house money at this point in the season as an unseeded team, having already taken down 1 national seed. Upstairs to Aaliyah Binford. What a year she has had in her final season of collegiate softball. Spent 5 years at Baylor, was a superstar in the Big 12, and yet this year has had the best season of her career at the plate in her last. The 1-2 from Robin Herron. That almost caught Percy Yamas in the on-deck circle. That'll wake you up for a game that was supposed to start at 7 local and instead starts at 11 a.m.
You do not want to take a ball off of the bat of Aaliyah Binford and misses her by half a foot.
Two count, 2 down, and the base is cleared, top of the first. Binford puts a charge into this to deep right field. It's a 1-run lead for the Rebels in Game 1 of the Fayetteville Super. A record-breaking swing for Aaliyah Binford, who now stands alone as the single-season RBI record holder for Ole Miss softball.
Postseason Aaliyah. This is her. This is what she does. Knows it off of the bat. And, Matt, the pitch prior to this was a changeup in the dirt, so that eliminates anything from the off-speed. You know that Robin Herron's going to give you velocity, and she just sits on that backdoor curve, sees it so deep. And the momentum is what we saw last weekend with Ole Miss. They were able to get out in front of Arizona every time they did. It resulted in a win. That is a big swing for the Rebels.
16th 2-out RBI this year for Aaliyah Binford. Passes the bat to Percy Yamas. One of 8 freshmen this year for the Ole Miss Rebels. And it's interesting, all the newness with the 8 transfers and the 8 freshmen, Kenzie, they've played with a looseness and a freeness this year, according to Jamie Traxel, that she hasn't seen yet in her time at Ole Miss.
There's been a little bit of magic in all of those new pieces mixed in with the returners. We were talking to Lair Boutte, and Lair Boutte is a very candid player. She will tell you exactly how she feels, a player that's been at 3 schools, and she said, I have never felt that with newcomers coming on of any team that I've ever played with. When all those 16 newcomers joined, well, it was 15 until Binford came in January, but when they joined us in the fall, it felt different. We vibed right away.
Yamas right into the middle of Carly Davis, and that ends the first inning for Ole Miss, but not before Aaliyah Binford can make it a run game. Ole Miss with an early lead in Fayetteville, where Brianna Lopez, the lone returning pitcher on last year's Ole Miss roster, will start with a lead in this first of 3 games here in Fayetteville.
Now, this is the hot hand for Coach Traxel. Good velocity, but it is her off-speed pitch that makes her so good. It's kind of interesting. We have 2 lefties who have 2 elite changeups. Fun matchup, but Bri Lopez, obviously the offense is the key piece, but for me, Lopez is carrying Ole Miss to this point.
Team best 2.65 ERA. She did allow a homer earlier in the year to that lady on your screen, Bri Ellis, as we get a look at the Razorback starting lineup brought to you by Capital One. Bri Ellis, like Aaliyah Binford, 1 swing away from making history. Her 26 home runs this year, tied for most all-time in a single season in the SEC. And leading it off for the Razorbacks, Reagan Johnson, the starting center fielder. Shift is on for Johnson, and the infield drawn in.
Slap hitter. You won't really ever see Johnson swing away as the table setter for the Razorbacks. Tap and go, power up. Also tells you that Lopez is really going to be working away with that curveball. We'll probably see some changeups in the dirt. Right field obviously wide open.
Well, so much talk in our open, and rightfully so, about Ole Miss's offense this year. But Arkansas has been no slouch in its own right. Top 10 in the country this year in runs per game with nearly 8. And Reagan Johnson, as you mentioned, a big part of that, setting the table for the Razorbacks this year. She's been their leadoff hitter since game 1.
Yeah, so much respect from Coach Deifel. Get on base, a ton of speed, has just that electric factor to her.
2-2 goes down on strikes. The throw up to first to complete the first out for the starting catcher Lexi Brady, and 1 down in the bottom of the first. Reagan Kramer digs in, riding a 5-game hit streak. 6 for 15 over this stretch with 6 runs batted in.
She can spot that changeup so well. Lopez has the ability to throw it for a strike, but then also when she gets ahead with 2 strikes, she can work it down in the zone, really make it break, find the dirt.
Fly ball to left field. Back on it is Pone, and she makes the catch in front of the track, 2 away. And now Bri Ellis. One big question coming into the Super Regional: how much would the Ole Miss pitching staff throw to the nation's most feared power hitter in Bri Ellis? We're about to find out with 2 outs and the bases empty.
Well, I feel like this at-bat will be an indicator for the rest of the weekend. Will Ole Miss challenge with nobody on?
Would you?
Yes, to a point. See if she can get herself out. So I like that pitch. See if Bri Ellis is going to be aggressive. You know that she wants to hit. She wants to swing. This is a hitter that can do damage not only with strikes but with balls out of the zone. And Arkansas defensively shifted way over to the left side. Mackenzie Pickens, second baseman, is playing almost like a rover position up the middle, respecting the pull power of Bri Ellis.
Homering this year in less than every 5 at-bats, while also walking every 3 at-bats. She has been a machine at the plate despite being pitched around often this year. And looks at strike one. It's interesting. She told us it's been a challenge adapting to being pitched around so much late in the season, particularly since the beginning of the SEC tournament. And she draws a walk on 5 pitches. Because she wants to get up and swing, knowing what she can do for her team with one swing. But she said, I do enjoy being on base. So if I can draw a walk, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, her on-base percentage, just insane. A lot of trust in the batters in front of her and also this hitter behind her, and Courtney Day.
Day has been a major protector for Bri Ellis at times this season, having a career year at the plate. .319 up from each of her last 2 seasons at the University of Texas. And in the regional, had the walk-off RBI single in the 8th against Oklahoma State, giving Arkansas their first extra inning walk-off win in NCAA tournament history.
Transferred from Texas, had a brief stint at Ole Miss, never competed for the Rebels, but was there in theory, and then ultimately took a year off, found her way finally to Arkansas.
Oh, that was scorched.
Heads up.
Foul down the left field line. Really is remarkable. You mentioned being out of softball for a year in 2024. She actually was the head coach of Tarkington High School softball in Cleveland, Texas. Was sure she'd never play again. Hopped in the fall portal. Signed December 9th, 2024, and joined Arkansas mid-year.
Yeah, this is big time. I wonder if that team is watching this game.
Definitely.
Have to be, right?
You have to be. Coach is playing for a trip to the Women's College World Series. You better believe it. Full count with 2 down and Bri Ellis at first. And back-to-back walks with 2 outs issued by Brianna Lopez. And so the tying run now in scoring position for the Hogs with Kaylee Wyckoff coming to the plate. Wyckoff, deep fly ball left field. It is gone! And the Hogs take the lead.
It is so important to get your home crowd into it, especially after Ole Miss throws the first punch. Arkansas punches right back, 2 free bases, sets up this Wyckoff blast. First pitch, especially seeing Bri Ellis and Courtney Day, 2 seniors in front of her, she knows that she is going to get pitched to, and that is what I call being ready for the moment.
We knew offense would be at the forefront of this series between Ole Miss and Arkansas. The regular season series was that way. Both of their runs in the NCAA tournament have been that way. Ball one to Ella McDowell. That was just the 7th home run this year for Kaylee Wyckoff. Going Oppo.
And obviously, Coach Deifel, the most happy of everyone. I'm looking at that Arkansas dugout, but who's probably the happiest is Bree Ellis, taking the walk to set up the big blast.
That pop out to second base ends the inning. Arkansas trailing early. They come back with a 2-out, 3-run bomb by Kaylee Wyckoff. And it's a 3-1 lead for Arkansas through 1 in Fayetteville. Bree Ellis, one of 3 finalists for National Player of the Year, along with Jordy Ball, Nyjah Kennedy, who's trying to become just the 7th player to win back-to-back National Player of the Year honors. Did it last year at Stanford. This year with a 1-game lead on Florida State in the Super Regional for Texas Tech. And Bree Ellis, man, what a season. And you started to make this point at the end of last inning. If you walk Bree Ellis, you cannot follow it up with another walk of Courtney Day, because Arkansas will make you pay. They did. It's a 3-1 lead for the Razorbacks.
I think that just starts with Ellis being able to take the walk, and then, of course, you've got to follow it up with some damage, and they did.
I think that's a big half inning, too, for Arkansas, because when you look back to that SEC opening series between these teams at the beginning of March, Ole Miss took the first 2 games, and they did so in convincing fashion by jumping out on Arkansas early. They jumped on Arkansas early in this game. The difference, though, Kenzie, is that Arkansas responded right away.
I watched Ole Miss all last weekend throw first punches. Had big first innings against Arizona. Had to beat Arizona twice, beat them on Saturday, and then had to beat them once on Sunday. And both times that Ole Miss was able to beat Arizona, they put up 4 runs in the first. So this is a team that they talk about throwing the first punch and the importance of that, getting our swings off early.
Lexi Brady draws a leadoff walk on 4 pitches. One of 3 returning starters in the field this year for Ole Miss. She is on base to start the second inning. Passes the bat to the freshman, Mackenzie Pickens. So many unknowns coming into the year for Ole Miss. Big reason, their freshman class. Pickens, one of 8. Good block behind home there from Kennedy Miller. And, all through the regular season, this team, as you mentioned, never was swept. But they go 11-13 in the SEC. They finish 11th in league play. And yet they were always that dangerous team that you knew could take 1 or maybe even 2 in a 3-game series.
That's how Jamie Traxel likes it. She flat out said to us yesterday, I like being the underdog. That's what I like to do. My team likes to play spoiler, and I loved her quote, I love to ruin somebody's day. Like, yes, coach.
She said that's stuck with her since being a coach at the mid-major level. 1-2 count here to Pickens. One hopper to second base. Chance for a DP. Pickens will beat it out. But the flip from Davis into Rijo will get Brady for out number 1.
This is the best defense in the nation that you're going to see. This ball just a little bit slow developing. And Pickens too much speed. The freshman moves well, but getting that lead out.
Ashton Lansdale certainly plays into that underdog theme. This is just the 3rd year of her playing competitive softball regularly. grew up a baseball player, played high school baseball, and became the first female ever to play baseball at the junior college level. And a few years ago, Kenzie transferred to Florida International, where she played 2 years of softball, and now finds herself here at Ole Miss playing in a super against Arkansas just 3 years later.
It's kind of a big gamble, right, for Coach Traxel to bring a player that has not even played softball for 4 seasons. But Coach Traxel prides herself in player development and loves to get those mid-major players that kind of identify with who she is as a human and that underdog spirit. And, of course, Lansdale is as athletic as you can get. And so you see the potential that she has, and let's see if you can develop something. And she has turned into one of the best defensive stars in our game at third base, and she's come a long way offensively.
Courtney Deifel in the circle here. 2 walks in the inning issued by Robin Heron, and now the go-ahead run coming to the plate in Angelina De Leon. But you're right. I mean, Jamie Traxel, she played collegiately at St. Cloud State, got her coaching career started at North Dakota State. She has that mid-major underdog grit in her blood, and her program this year has completely embodied that.
And it's a big roster, so you know that's a fiery roster. When you get 26 competitors under one roof, there's going to be a lot of spirited practices, a lot of inter-squads that are tense.
You speaking from experience?
Well, I also asked her, but yes, inter-squads, the dog days of January, when you have, a big team, and you also have all these new pieces, not knowing who's going to be in the lineup, right? I'm trying to fight for a spot against you, but you're also my teammate at the same time. Coach brought me in because she told me I was going to do this. I mean, there's so many things that go into the dynamic of building a team and building a culture. But it's one of those things where the cream is going to rise to the top, and so iron sharpens iron, and you figure it out as well along the season.
2-0 to De Leon. Heron pitched twice in the regular season series against Ole Miss. Was sacked with a loss in game 1, then came back and won game 3. Ole Miss outscoring Arkansas over the first 2 games of that series 18-4. But then in the third game completely exploded, won 20-3 to sort of salvage that series early in the SEC slate. Full count to De Leon.
Heron has really been working away to the righties from Ole Miss. Haven't seen a ton of off speeds, surprisingly. It's been all about the backdoor curve.
What she told us yesterday, her favorite out pitch to a righty is a rise ball in. We're going to get that here with a 3-2 count. Tying run on first.
That is such a gutsy pitch. We'll see. Now going away.
And gets the strikeout. Runner goes and is safe at third base. Pickens got a great jump. And Lansdale up to second base as well with 2 down.
Ole Miss is a very speedy team, one of the better base running teams in the regionals. And you can see right there, Kennedy Miller, she's pumping up. Robin Heron, I love that, trying to give a little bit of juice to her pitcher. But while she's doing that, Mackenzie Pickens is stealing third.
And there was that little hitch from Miller, as if she was about to throw it back to Heron, and then realized that Pickens was taking third. So the tying run in scoring position with Taylor Roman pinch hitting for Taylor Malvin in the 9-hole.
Malvin, a left-handed hitter, slap and go, tap and go type of player, so lefty versus righty. And Taylor Malvin had some pinch hit magic last weekend down in Tucson. Almost this exact type of situation with 2 runners on and hitting for Taylor Malvin.
Went around on the check swing, the senior from Missouri City, Texas, who began her career at the University of Louisiana and is now spending her senior season with the Ole Miss Rebels. Could tie the game here in the second inning or take the lead.
Trying to figure out the strike zone. It's still early. Backdoor curve. That's a strike. I also have a very big strike zone, just a heads up.
Oh, no kidding? Hall of Fame pitcher with a big strike zone. Go figure. Roman swings through the 2-1. And now a 2-strike count with 2 down in the top of the second inning. Roman at the Arizona Regional, to Kenzie's point, had a pinch hit 3-run homer for the Rebels. Has the chance to do the same thing here with 2 on and 2 out. In the air to left field. Back on it is Kramer, and it's off the wall. Ole Miss ties the game on a 2-out RBI double by Taylor Roman.
It is so hard to be a pinch hitter. It is the hardest thing to do in our sport, arguably. You're coming in for one moment, and what an at-bat from the senior. She looked kind of foolish on a couple of pitches, but stuck with it. I thought that Kramer was going to have a play on this, running it deep down to the warning track. 2-run score. Wow. Senior magic, that pinch hit magic, that is so hard to do. I'm just stunned. That was impressive.
Taylor Malvin comes back into the game to run for Roman at second base. She represents the go-ahead run in scoring position as Ole Miss flips the lineup back over to Jaden Pone. Oh, 2.
One thing that 2 RBI double is quieted this crowd. It is quiet in here right now.
And it was jumping about 10 minutes ago. Pone goes down on strikes. Heron gets out of the inning with 2 strikeouts. But not before Taylor Roman can tie the game with a 2-out double. 3 up in Fayetteville. Well, we're only 1 day into Super Regionals and already 2 upsets. Texas Tech taking down Florida State thanks to a great pitching performance by Nyjah Kennedy. Clemson, I think, shocking a lot of people, Kenzie, going to Austin, taking game 1 from the Longhorns. And then, wouldn't you know it, another series with 2 SEC teams in it. Florida and Georgia playing right now over on ESPN2. There are 9 SEC teams in the 2025 Super Regional.
Did you stay up to watch Clemson, Texas?
I did not. I was fast asleep. I can't believe you stayed up to watch it.
Of course I did. Was it good for my health? Probably not.
It's good for your soul.
That's right. Does it matter? No.
Were you surprised to see the game unfold the way it did? Clemson winning that 7-4.
Yes, it was. All of a sudden, I think it was the 5th inning. Texas kind of ran themselves out of some momentum, and then Clemson, who's been a really hot team down the stretch, just took it and ran. And then Texas,
Clemson,
I mean,
Texas.
The
thing about Clemson too, Kenzie, is like they replaced so much from last year.
It's been a great story for our sport because they were very similar to Ole Miss, a completely different team in February and in March than they are now. But it's all about peaking at the right time.
How do you think Texas responds today?
Well, they have the arms to do it, so that's good news for them. And, I mean, they're still one of the most talented teams in the country. So they're built for it. Hopefully that game doesn't start at, like, midnight our time. If it does, I'll still be watching.
Man. Talia Rio, yes, those were her actual numbers at the Tucson Regional last week. Hit 900. Speaking about getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, Oklahoma State just could not get her out. The spark down at the bottom of the lineup. It's one of those things where, yes, maybe Coach Deifold could move her up in the lineup, but if you're swinging it well and you're comfortable where you're at, maybe just keep her there.
Gives them some juice at the bottom of the order. She twice hit she twice had 4 hits in a game in the regional last week.
That's a lot of hits.
Yeah, it's a lot of hits. First player to tally 4 hits in an NCAA tournament game in Arkansas history. She comes from a bat and ball family. Mom Audrey played softball at UNCW. Her dad Fernando pitched 11 years in the minor leagues. As she sends this high in the air to left, Jaden Pone tracking. 1 down in the 2nd inning. Well, the Women's College World Series returns again to Oklahoma City. Action begins this Thursday, hard to believe, 12 p.m. Eastern, live on ESPN. For more information on the 2025 Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Ball 1 to Kennedy Miller. Neither of these programs have ever been to the Women's College World Series. Arkansas just 1-6 all-time in super regional games. Their lone win, ironically, came against Texas in 2022, but it was the Longhorns that came here to Fayetteville and upset Arkansas. As this is shot up the middle for a 1-out single off the bat of Kennedy Miller.
There's such a fun piece to our series this weekend where both of these teams are fighting for program history. Kind of the neutralizer between them both. Miller sitting on a changeup here, right back up the middle.
Hard to believe, too, Ole Miss is 0-4 all time in the Super Regional. They are making their first trip since 2019. Carly Davison batting for Arkansas in the 9-hole. Ropes this down the line and a fair ball into left field. Miller will stay put at third. It's a 1-out double for Carly Davison.
Well, you know who has been to the Women's College World Series is Carly Davison. Went her freshman season with Utah and then hitting coach DJ Gasso. Hitting down in the 9 spot. Gets an inside curveball. We have not seen Lopez challenge the righties in very much, so she tests it here, and Davison is all over it. Yeah, there's Davison and then Courtney Day. Two different teams have both been to OKC, like you talked about, Day with Texas.
Chopper to third. Lansdale comes home, and Miller in trouble is tagged out. Well played by Ashton Lansdale, whose back was to the runner for a moment there. Made a quick decision, and it was the right one.
Yeah, people watching at home may be going, I don't know, what are we thinking about going home on this? But you can see where Carly Davison ends up. You ends up with a runner at third on the base path, so it's just one of those things where if you're going to make an out, let's not make an out at first. Let's make an out at home and test the defense. Just go on down angle and force them to make a play.
So Reagan Kramer comes to the plate with 2 down and 2 on. Remember, all 3 of Arkansas's runs in the first inning came with 2 outs on a 3-run shot by Kaylee Wyckoff.
This is my first time seeing the Woo Pig in person.
You a fan?
It is unique.
Very. Gotta give a lot of credit to the Bogle Park faithful too. They thought the game tonight was going to start at 8 Eastern.
Yep.
And then last night, because of impending weather later on today, they moved the game way up to an 11 a.m. local start. And the folks in the berm have been waiting for hours to get into Bogle Park this morning.
Yeah, they rallied the troops. The decision was made late, and so the communication's got to take some time, whether you're checking your emails, checking social media, however you're finding it out. Local news was here yesterday covering practice, but the word got out.
One 0 count to Reagan Kramer. Has found the perfect spot in the lineup this year for her. After last season hit a career low 213 in the middle of the March, they moved her from the 2 to the 5 and then back up in the order, and it completely changed everything for her. Now batting above 300, a career high.
That's the pitch that Kramer needs to drive. Now 2 strikes. Lopez has the ability to change speeds, can go up with the rise, can also run the curve further away.
And you know, usually you're going to get pitches to hit if you're batting in the 2 with Bree Ellis right behind you, and then behind her, Courtney Day.
That's a great point. Yeah, hitters count, a 2-1 count. You know that Bree Ellis is behind you. I'm getting my hack in right here.
2-2 from Lopez. Courtney Deifel talked about it too. She said, you know, Kramer doesn't get a lot of shine because of who bats behind her, but she's sort of the Robin to all the Batmen in our offense. Flies under the radar, and that's perfectly fine with her. Produces often in that 2-hole. Full count to Kramer.
This is a very important pitch for Bree Lopez.
Kramer, right side, fielded at second base by Pickens, and that ends the inning. 2 on and less than 2 outs, and Arkansas unable to capitalize. Hogs strand 2, we're tied at 3 after 2 in Fayetteville. Ole Miss has been really good all year, but they were outstanding, especially in the regional. 7 or more runs in all 3 of their wins, 2 of those coming against Arizona. And speaking of speed, they were top 5 in the SEC this year in stolen bases. We've already seen one of those from the Rebels today. And an early pitching change for Arkansas. Robin Herron is out. Reese Burline is in to start the third.
A little surprising here. I'm not going to lie. Looked up between the break and said, oh, this is a different pitcher, going with the junior, the righty. So the ace, Robin Herron, only goes 2 innings. Switching it up here. Good velocity, throws in the mid-60s. Going to spin her curve to both sides. Really likes to go arm side with that back door away to left-handed hitters.
You wonder, Kenzie, if it's just because of the way Ole Miss was grinding out at bats against Herron. Last inning, she threw 31 pitches, 18 of those balls. And Ole Miss plated 2 more runs to tie the game at 3.
And one thing, Matt, that I was watching and keeping note of, and I'm sure Courtney Deifel, she's the pitching coach, she calls pitches, is that Robin Herron did not have her changeup consistently for a strike. And that is her best pitch.
High fly ball off the end of the bat of Butte. And it's short. It's Rijo, 1 down. Well, in steps Aaliyah Binford, whose last at bat resulted in a solo home run and a new single season record for runs batted in Ole Miss softball history. Another player that comes over from the transfer portal with deep postseason experience. Last year helped the Baylor Bears force a Game 3 in Gainesville, ultimately falling short. And a mid-year transfer coming over from Baylor this year. 1-1 count.
Actually beat Ole Miss last season. So you face a team and you face a player, and then that familiar name goes in the portal. You're like, wait a minute, what if she's on our side?
Hitters count to Binford, who had an insanely productive regional. 8 for 14, 3 homers, 8 runs batted in. Binford. High fly ball will get out of play. It jumps off the bat in a hurry for her, doesn't it?
Just a violent swinger, and at some point in the back of my head, I'm thinking, we need to see opposing pitchers start to pitch around her the way we're seeing pitchers pitch around Bree Ellis. She is that kind of hitter for Ole Miss.
And she's gotten hot. Like, you look at some of the stats, now 12 home runs. 4 of those have come in the last week.
Yeah, there's something to be said about knowing who the talent is, number one, but who's swinging the hot bat, who's seeing the beach balls.
3-2. Upstairs, and a 1-out walk drawn by Aaliyah Binford. Game tied at 3, top 3. Reese Burline in relief for Arkansas. Now taking on the meat of this Ole Miss lineup with the freshman Percy Yamas coming to the plate. And Yamas, too, a major regional. 3 home runs, 5 runs batted in. Riding a 7-game on-base streak for the Rebels.
It's such a fun dynamic between Binford and Yamas. You have the senior who has all the postseason experience, and then who protects her? A true freshman. Hasn't been here at all.
Batting cleanup. Rolls it to the right side. Only play at first for Davison. 2 outs as Binford moves into scoring position. Lexi Brady. Homered twice in the regular season series against Arkansas, though not off Reese Burline. Those came off Heron and Burnham. Lines it into left field, and it gets past Kramer. In to score comes Binford, and it's a 1-run lead again for the Rebels in the third.
So you have the senior transfer in Binford, the true freshman in Yamas, and then here comes Lexi Brady, who has been here at Ole Miss for all 4 years and has stuck it out. This is a tough pitch to hit. She goes down to get this, a backdoor curve that has a little drop to it, drops her barrel out of the stretch of Reagan Kramer. Can't really do anything because of how hard that ball was hit.
And now another freshman in Mackenzie Pickens. Chance to continue the 2-out rally with a 1-run lead here in the third. Oh, 2 from Burline. In the air to right center. That is down for a base hit. Back-to-back, 2-out RBI doubles. And Ole Miss has its largest lead of the game.
This team is so fun to watch. They just don't care in the best way. New pitcher, don't care. Have to play in Tucson, don't care. Have to play a sold-out Arkansas field, don't care. We're going to hit. And whether that's a freshman, whether that's a senior, kind of the patchwork lineup, but it works. Those 2 runs are huge. Statement runs for the Rebels. Just giving some insurance to your senior in the circle. Hey, new pitcher, we got you. We're going to put some runs up. We're going to keep pressing, keep the pressure on for the host team, and keep this crowd out of it.
They are now 4 for 6 today with runners in scoring position. And Kenzie, 3 of their 5 runs have been driven in with 2 outs.
That's a mentality to me. 2-out hitting is a mentality. Because 2 outs is not where you want to be. You want to have runners on early in the inning. But if you're hitting with 2 outs, that just tells me that they are dialed in, they're confident, and it's something that they can pass from the dugout, pass that mentality, and get it done on the field.
Watch out. This is a towering shot to left field off the bat of Lansdale. And the 2-out rally continues. A 2-run shot for the FIU transfer. Whoa.
Wow.
3 straight, 2-out, extra base hits, all driving in runs for the Rebels. And they have broken it open here in the third.
And it's the production coming from the 7-hole here. Ashton Lansdale, this is not who you circle in terms of we can't let her beat us. This is a hitter that you want to go at. You're going to circle Aaliyah Binford, Percy Yamas, Jaden Pone. So you're getting this kind of energy number 1, but production number 2. From the 7 spot, Hottie Toddy is rolling.
We will take a break with a pitching change. It'll be Lexi King in the circle when we return from Arkansas. Some shock at Bogle Park as now a freshman, Lexi King, will come in to relieve Reese Burline in the third after Ole Miss has scored 4 consecutive 2-out runs to jump out to a 4-run lead in this game. Reese Berline looking on after she got 2 quick outs against the heart of the Ole Miss lineup. Pop out of Boutte, ground out of Yamas. Well, this is a tough opportunity here for King, who has not pitched since April 15th. Taking on Angelina DeLeon here. A 1-1 count to the starting shortstop. Line drive into the gap in right center again, down for extra bases. And it is a ground rule double for Angelina DeLeon. 4 straight extra base hits coming with 2 outs in the inning for Ole Miss.
It is so hard to be on time for a new pitcher. Even if you have all the data in the world, which they do, you can watch film on anybody. If you have played, there's film of it. But to get into the box and be on time for a new pitcher time and time again, this is the 3rd pitcher that Ole Miss has seen today, and we are early in this ballgame.
Malvin drops down a bunt. Going to be a tough play. There isn't one. Malvin beats it out. No throw from McDowell, and up to 3rd goes DeLeon, but they're going to say that Malvin was out?
I think out of the box. So it will be a ball on Malvin.
I thought potentially the second base umpire, Jim Bertuzzi, was saying she was not in the running lane and was obstructing a potential throw from McDowell. Here's Chelsea Clark, the home plate umpire, giving an explanation to Jamie Traxel.
I think of just because of which umpire called that, it was Bertuzzi who's behind second. That is his job. He's watching the feet. He's directly head on.
You're right. Malvin's going to go back to the batter's box here. Here's the replay.
So it's her back foot, that crossover foot. Yep.
Yeah, right there.
This used to be
lunge at it late there.
Yeah, this used to be an out a couple of years ago, and I hated that. So I'm glad that the rule is much fairer now.
Drives this into center and gliding in to make the catch. Johnson wiping off a potential 2-out hit. But Ole Miss doing damage in the 3rd with 2 outs, scoring 4 runs, including this home run by Lansdell.
Just a big blast from the 7-hole, the senior, who's a defensive player, but she's offensive today, and the energy, Ole Miss on top.
Well, if there's anybody that can start a rally for Arkansas, it is Bree Ellis, if she can get pitched to. And that has been the issue during the postseason. Teams have simply not thrown her strikes because of the ridiculous numbers, Kenzie Fowler, that she has put up this year.
Well, I'm going to pitch to her here. My team just put up 4 runs. I'm feeling comfortable in the circle. Got some insurance. The last thing that Ole Miss wants to do is let Arkansas get back in it, not in one swing, but get back in it in a big inning. And sometimes those big innings can start with leadoff walks.
Well, certainly in the first inning, it was a 2-out walk by Bree Ellis that started a rally for Arkansas. They played it all 3 in that inning, and it began with the 2-out walk to Ellis. Ellis in the air to left, charging in his Pone, makes the play. She had to go a long way to get there with her heels on the track at the start of that Ellis at bat. One down. Now, Courtney Deifel's Arkansas Razorbacks 0-6 all-time in the NCAA tournament when giving up 7 runs or more. And with the way Ole Miss is swinging, that has to create a little bit of extra pressure, too, offensively for the Razorbacks, you would think.
Big time. It's kind of been the elephant in the room for Arkansas. The only thing left on the resume in terms of program and success is punching their ticket to OKC.
Courtney Day shoots this up the middle for a one-out single. Second time aboard this afternoon for the Texas transfer. For Arkansas, you're right. The elephant in the room has been, how do you get out of super regionals? And the pressure gets ratcheted up a notch, too, because this is their 3rd straight super regional hosted here at Vogel Park. And I'm curious, as a pitcher, do you have that in the back of your mind? If you're Brianna Lopez right now, hey, all the pressure's on Arkansas.
I can guarantee you that Jamie Traxel talked to her team about the pressure. Because both of these teams are trying to do a first for their program. So that's pressure number one. Like, can it be us? But then if you're the spoiler, you're the visitor, you've got to talk about it. Hey, we're playing at their ballpark, their fans. The pressure is all on them. And then also they have the higher seed. So on paper, we are the underdog. We're unseeded. We're not even seeded. We went into Tucson and upset Arizona. We can do the same thing here. And so that is great for Ole Miss because the path is set. They've done it. It's just, can we repeat exactly what we did last weekend?
0-2 strikeout from Lopez, 2 down, and her first K of the afternoon. Well, you gotta love this from Lopez. 2 quick outs with a 4-run lead.
Man, even the single that she gave up to Courtney Day wasn't hit super hard. Got a little jammed. Just limiting hits to singles. It sounds so funny, but it's real. Hitters in the SEC are going to get theirs, but how much damage is being done? Are home runs solo home runs, or are they 3-run home runs like we've seen here today, Ole Miss, with Ashton Lansell, 3-run home run, 2-run home run?
The freshman Ella McDowell at the plate for Arkansas with 2 down and a runner aboard. And for Lopez, what an opportunity. Second-year transfer from Hawaii. Wanted to pitch on a bigger stage. Has helped Ole Miss get to a place they had not yet been under Jamie Traxel. Issues a 2-out walk.
Last 2 pitches I've seen called today, and you could see Lexi Brady chat it up a little bit, trying to find the strike zone here in the 3rd.
Chelsea Clark, her home plate umpire. And now it's Italia Rijo.
I like this timeout here from Lexi Brady. 4 balls in a row. Give Lopez a little bit of a breather. Lexi Brady saw her chatting it up with the home plate umpire, Chelsea Clark, so she can relay that to the senior in the circle. Hey, she says it's a little bit low or a little bit out.
Two on, two out, 2-0 count. And after the timeout by Brady, a strike fluttering in for Lopez. Oh, fooled on that off speed. 2-2.
That tells you the confidence that Bri Lopez has in that changeup. She threw the changeup in the dirt before Brady called timeout, and then what does she go back to? The changeup. Back to back, perfectly executed.
60th pitch of the day for Lopez. Full count to Rijo.
I was thinking she was going to go another one. I would go back to change here.
Was the change your out pitch?
Yeah, could be. Rise ball or change. That was usually where I was happiest. You have to have a change up at this league in this day and age. You just cannot survive without it. I mean, even Carlin Pickens and Nigeri Kennedy, Jordy Ball, those are three pitchers that bring heat, bring velocity, where you're thinking, oh, they can just throw it by some hitters. No, you got to have something that they can show you that slows it down, pulls the string.
Certainly all three of those pitchers have kept opposing hitters very much off balance. Rijo again fouling it off. Double barrel action in the Ole Miss bullpen. Both offenses have made opposing pitchers grind it out a little bit in this game. Already over 60 pitches in the game for Lopez, with 2 outs here in the third. It's Wachenio and Cooper getting loose for the Rebels. 8th pitch of the at-bat. And another foul ball.
So Lopez was going change after change, and you saw Rijo start to make the adjustments with the foul balls out in front, down the line, and then she goes to the velocity, the curveball, and Rijo is late. So you're playing with the timing. Just now the advantage continues to drift in Rijo's way. Seeing a lot of pitches in this at-bat.
Lines this up the middle and delivers. They will wave Day, and she will score without a throw. Hogs back on the board with a 2-out base knock by Italia Rijo.
Just earned this at-bat, earned this RBI, forced Bri Lopez to give her everything, saw the entire arsenal. And when you see everything, your timing is going to get better. Fouled off things she didn't like, has the ability to wait for something a little bit more center cut and drives it right back up the middle. Continues that hot bat that we saw last weekend here in regionals.
She had 9 hits in the regional. You saw every one of those in Tucson. Now has her first hit of the Super, and it drives in a run and brings Arkansas to within 3, meaning the tying run will come to the plate for Kennedy Miller, who already has a hit in this game. The question is, will Jamie Traxel make a pitching change before the Miller at bat? It doesn't appear so.
They were all kind of looking towards the bullpen. Oh, here comes Wachenio. Yep.
So they will, in fact, make a change. Guacheño was masterful against Arkansas in game one of their SEC opening series at the beginning of March. Held Razorback hitters to just 4 hits on 21 at-bats. She will come in with 2 outs. Lopez out after 2 2/3.
Look, it's all hands on deck for both sides. Offenses are just too good. You're going from senior to true freshman. This is the best strikeout pitcher on staff for Ole Miss. 171 Ks for the rookie at the time. And it's because she can spin the ball up with her rise. Throws in the upper 60s. And shocking, not shocking, she has a great changeup. Every single one of these pitchers for Ole Miss has an elite changeup.
Those 171 strikeouts for Guacheño, the most by a Rebel pitcher since Mary Jane Callahan in 2004. What a year for the freshman from Pala, California. And now comes in a high leverage spot early in this game. Tying run coming to the plate for Kennedy Miller. 2 outs, bottom 3, game 1 of this Super Regional here in Fayetteville.
I'm going to use this opportunity to shout out the DJ here at Bogle. It's been phenomenal.
Two on, 2 out for Kennedy Miller.
Guacheño really likes to work arm side with the rise, and of course Miller, and then behind her Davison, both right-handed hitters, really likes to go in tight.
Jam piece, and Guacheño comes in and does her job, closing the door on Arkansas in the 3rd. We will chat with the Ole Miss head coach, Jamie Traxel, when we return. Arkansas already on their 3rd pitcher of the game. Lexi King in for Reese Berline, who replaced Robin Herron. Wondered if we would see Peyton Burnham in this game, Kenzie, given all the relief that Arkansas has used already. Definitely makes you think a little bit more about how you're going to manage things when you're taking on an offense like Ole Miss.
That was an early pitching change for Courtney Deifel, pulling the ace, Robin Herron. I mean, you heard it right there from Coach Traxel. It is all hands on deck. It is postseason. Of course, these teams have played a bunch, so there is no secrets. But it's game 1 of the Supers matchup, and call me old school, but you would think that your ace would kind of go a little bit further than 2 innings, 3 innings, even 4 innings.
Bone shoots this through the left side, and she is aboard for the first time today. Well, Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals is tomorrow night. Can the T-Wolves steal a game from the Thunder, who lead 2-0 in convincing fashion? Of course, ESPN News will continue its Inside Cast with Avatar shot charts, virtual 3D replays, and immersive analysis. Countdown crew will get you ready with our tip-off coverage starting at 8 Eastern. Blair Boutte coming to the plate here with a runner aboard. And really for both teams, the ace not going very deep here in game 1.
No. It's kind of where our game is trending. Offense has just completely taken over. I could filibuster forever if you want me to. I don't think you want me to.
Please, go ahead.
I mean,
I'm going to turn my mic off for the next half inning.
No, you don't want me to. But get ugly.
You're old school. You want The Rock for all 7 innings?
Why not?
Yeah.
We just don't see those certified aces on every single team. There's a lot of pitch by committee, kind of that MLB style where you have your starter and then you have a short reliever, your middle gamer, and then you have someone to close it. And so you're seeing that for Arkansas here, but it's just we didn't expect maybe to see Berline so early, and definitely didn't expect to see King here.
Boutte takes the 2-1 into left field. Back-to-back opposite field singles to start the 4th inning off Lexi King.
You know that hit felt good for Boutte. She's been kind of quiet, almost too quiet, with her teammates in front of her, behind her, doing all the damage. Finally gets in on the action.
Boutte went hitless in the regional in Tucson. And she was one of a handful of Ole Miss players that we got to chat with going into the Super Regional. Joked everybody was hot but her. And she knocks Lexi King out of the game for now. So Courtney Deifel will use her 4th arm, and it'll be Cam Harrison.
Man,
I feel like this is a huge inning for both teams.
I was going to say, my scorebook is working right now. There's been a lot of different pieces on both sides, whether it's pinch hit magic. We saw that from Taylor Roman. Kind of get the momentum for Ole Miss. And then right now, Arkansas going to Cam Harrison. Very similar to kind of a Reese Berline where it's curved to both sides. Has a good change as well, but another righty. So you start the lefty in here, and then you go righty, righty, and righty. And this is the hitter at the dish right now. Aaliyah Benford, no one better in this lineup. 2 on, no outs. And to your point, I mean, I know it's a 3-run game right now, but this is an inning that could go either way. Could absolutely start leaning towards a potential run rule territory type of game for Ole Miss if Arkansas is not careful.
Benford has already homered in this game, has twice come in to score, and is the new single-season program record holder for runs batted in with 55. Takes the plate with nobody out here in the 4th. Back-to-back singles to start the inning for Ole Miss. Pone and then Boutte. Duke pinch running for Boutte at first base. And for Cam Harrison, how about this moment? Her first postseason appearance of her career comes in the Super Regional. Her last appearance was May 2nd against LSU. That was before the SEC tournament. 2-2 count. Just missed. And it runs full to Benford.
Yeah, that's a ball off the plate, but that's a great take from Aaliyah Benford.
Harrison's last appearance, 5 earned runs on 6 hits over 2 2/3 against the LSU Tigers. Payoff pitch to Binford. But if you're trying to save Peyton Burnham, you're running out of options if you're Courtney Deifel. Rolling the dice here with her freshman from Brookshire, Texas.
Hanging out in the bullpen.
8th pitch of the at-bat to Binford. She is narrowly missing these.
She scares me, and I am nowhere near that pitcher circle. I'm up here going, oh, too close.
You scared of a hitter?
She is swinging for the fences every single time.
Binford left side, backhanded at short, flipped to third, made by Riho, but it pushed McDowell off the bag. The flip beat Pone to the bag, but it was not accurate enough to keep McDowell's foot on the bag, and now we may have a meeting amongst our umpiring crew here. Don Brown coming over from first base.
Arkansas is challenging the previous play at third base. The call on the field was safe. This play is under review.
Now, this is the only play that Riho has. It looked to me that McDowell did have her foot just on the side of the base. It wasn't on the top, right? It was just kind of hidden in the dirt.
Right there.
There, yeah. I think this is a good challenge by Courtney Deifel. There's no chance at first. Oh, maybe she... I don't think she got there from that angle right there. I don't see her foot close enough to the side of the base. Okay, this changes my mind.
Wow.
And also, I'm thinking about the reaction from McDowell. She didn't seem super upset when the call was safe. So that typically tells me that she's right there. She knows. If she's very confident that her foot was on the base, I feel like she would have turned and really reacted to the dugout.
McDowell, second team All-SEC at third base this year on a defense that has led the nation in fielding percentage. The speed of Ole Miss maybe speeding up the defense of Arkansas here, and we have an official decision after the challenge from Courtney Deifel.
After review, the field is upheld. We have safe at third base. That is Arkansas's first challenge.
And so now the bases will be loaded for the superstar freshman, Percy Yamas. Cam Harrison in her first postseason appearance of her young career. Bases loaded, nobody out in the fourth, and a 3-run deficit. How are you pitching Yamas here, who's 6 for 10 this season with the bases loaded?
Yeah, the problem is bases are loaded. Lexi Brady, who's hit a bunch of home runs, is behind her, and there's no outs on the board. So you have to pitch to her. You want to keep this game competitive. You have to give yourself a chance to stay in it. And Cam Harrison is an up ball spinner, so she's going curve, she's going rise, doesn't really have anything down in the zone with a drop.
And Yamas, who's had a handful of clutch hits this year, ahead in the count 2-1. Jamie Traxel joked, even in Oxford, Mississippi, she's not sure Percy Yamas has broken a sweat. As she drives this into the middle of second baseman Davison. The exact out Cam Harrison needed. 1 down in the fourth.
Now off the end of the bat. And Davidson was playing a couple steps in the baseline, so snow cone catch Arkansas will take.
Whatever it takes to keep this a 3-run game as Lexi Brady comes to the plate. And remember last inning, it was Lexi Brady with a runner on and 2 outs who started the rally of 4 consecutive 2-out extra base hits. Brady drives this into center. Diving play by Johnson. 1 run will tag its opponent from third, but Johnson saving multiple runs with that dazzling effort in center.
And that is such a risky go because if that ball gets by her, you are looking at a very lopsided score. But Reagan Johnson is the center fielder on the best defensive team in the country. So she's confident, I got this 10 times out of 10 times. Great catch in center field.
4-run lead for Ole Miss. 2 on and 2 out for Mackenzie Pickens. A good job there by Kennedy Miller to keep that in front and hold Duke and Binford at bay on first and second base. Pickens, too, does have a 2-out RBI in this game.
Arkansas can get out of this defensively. All things considered, 1 run, had bases loaded in the heart of the Ole Miss lineup. You've got to take that small sliver of momentum. You can also hear that the changeup from Cam Harrison has been picked from Ole Miss. Every time she's throwing that off-speed pitch, you can hear the sit. Trying to help the hitters out, see that off-speed pitch.
Anything you can do to combat that, or as it is what it is?
No, you can change your grip. I had to do that a couple of times, and it's something that you should practice. You should be able to throw your changeup on a couple of different grips just in case for this situation.
Hitters count to Pickens. Launched down the line and left, and it will tail foul. That was crushed by the freshman Mackenzie Pickens. Does have 8 homers this year. .36 runs batted in. The 3-2. Missed to load the bases. Bree Ellis thought that was strike 3. Standing just outside the circle as if she was about to celebrate a strikeout with Cam Harrison.
Strike zone is top of the knee to the bottom of a batter's sternum, and that changes from batter to batter. So Mackenzie Pickens, not the tallest in stature, a little bit up in the zone. I think that is close enough for strike 3.
Instead, the inning continues with a former baseballer turned softballer, Ashton Lansdell, who homered in her last at bat. Now, something's happening behind home plate here. Chelsea Clark pointed at starting catcher Kennedy Miller, and now Courtney Deifel's out of the dugout.
It almost looks like a warning. So it wasn't a timeout. And Kennedy Miller is smiling about it. Which tells me, of course, smiling is the opposite of what she's thinking on the inside. A little gamesmanship there. Yeah, that's a warning.
Home plate was dirty. Don't blame her for wiping it off for her pitcher. (2-0) to Lansdale. And a walk on 4 pitches to drive in another Ole Miss run. And the fans here at Bogle Park giving home plate umpire Chelsea Clark an earful. Man, what a swing. Cam Harrison thinks she strikes out Mackenzie Pickens. Instead, it's ball 4 to load the bases, and then she comes back and throws 4 straight out of the zone to Lansdale to drive in another run. It's now a 5-run lead for Ole Miss. And for the 3rd time this season, Ole Miss offense has plated 9 runs in a game against Arkansas. Strike 1 to DeLeon. And some jeers here in Fayetteville. Ole Miss has been lethal with 2 outs. 8 of their 9 runs coming with 2 outs. The 1-2. Check swing. Appeal to first. Don Brown said DeLeon did not offer. Rebs have already plated 2 in this inning. Bases juiced, 2 down. 2-2 count from Harrison. DeLeon deep to center. Back on it is Johnson, and that will end the inning. But the Razorbacks trail at home by 5 in the middle of the 4th. We'll chat with their head coach, Courtney Deifel, on the other side of the break.
And it makes a lot of sense now.
Why we haven't seen Peyton Burnham.
Yep, and why there was such a quick hook to your ace, the pitcher that has gotten you to this point.
So, Carly Davison will lead things off for the Razorbacks, who have seen Ole Miss played at least 1 run in all 4 innings they have come to the plate. And Arkansas respond here in the home half of the 4th, down 5 against Miley Wachenio.
How impressive is it that Robin Heron was even able to go at all?
I was just thinking, we chatted with Robin Heron yesterday for 30 minutes. She was as lively as can be. So that food poisoning must have come late last night for the Arkansas ace pitcher. The same goes for Peyton Burnham. You hope it's 24 hours out of the system so she can go tomorrow at full strength. 1-2 count to Davison. Launched into right center, gliding over to make the play is Duke.
Miley Wachenio is different in the way of how she spins her ball. Really nothing is down in the zone. Everything is going to be up. Has an elite rise ball with late movement. Haven't seen Aaliyah Binford yet from Ole Miss. She's down in the zone with drop. And then we saw Bree Lopez, who's curve and changeup. So you have a very well-built bullpen. So if you're going to make those changes, you're not repeating looks, you're giving fresh looks, something that's different where you're catching hitters a little bit off guard, making them kind of talk about the scouting report and how are we going to face her, what does she throw, up, down, side, and it's different every single time versus when you're changing pitchers and the looks are the same. It's very comfortable, and you can just pass the information quickly, like, hey, same look, a little bit slower or a little bit faster. Okay, got it. Just a little bit more comfortable as hitters are in the box.
One to Johnson. Boy, would she love to get on with Reagan Kramer on deck, Bree Ellis in the hole. Top of this Arkansas order. Hoping they can chip away at this 5-run deficit. Full count to Johnson. Big shift on. And she draws a walk. Well, this week's Sunday Night Baseball matchup is the series finale between the Dodgers and the Mets. All the stars, Shohei and Mookie, Alonso, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor. First pitch, 7 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Baseball tonight, Sunday Night Countdown begins at 6. Reagan Kramer in search of her first hit of the Super Regional.
And I like that Arkansas offensively is being very patient with Wachenio. I think that is perfect in terms of strategy. They need a big inning. They need a lot of runners on. Force her to pitch a lot. Force her to come to the strike zone. Force her to come to them. And so you have to recognize that as a young freshman. Okay, they're taking. I need to take advantage. I need to pump the strike zone. Because you're pitching very differently to hitters who are patient versus when hitters are aggressive early. Your pitch strategy is completely different. And you have to recognize that very quickly and change it up.
Another 3-1 count.
And how much is in your mind that I can't let runners on? Bree Ellis is coming up. She can hit a 3-run. Like all those little mental pieces, those thoughts are out there. You have to figure out how to not let those thoughts creep in and just pump strikes.
Strike two to Kramer. Ellis looming on deck. Courtney Day in the hole. The payoff. And a check swing foul ball off the bat of Kramer. It's interesting. Courtney Deifel talked about continuing to fight, continue to stay hungry. That is one thing that she has said time and again about this particular Razorback roster. Unlike in years past, there's just something a little bit different. We don't flinch. And a walk drawn. 2 on and 1 out for Bree Ellis.
I'm getting flashback of last week's regional winners bracket game between Oklahoma State and Arkansas, where Arkansas was down until the 7th inning, where they were able to tie it. They went to extras and, of course, put them in the driver's seat into Championship Sunday. Were able to just beat Oklahoma State once and advance to another super, but they were behind, and it felt like this type of a game up until the last couple of innings.
Ellis pops it up in foul territory, and Lansdale makes the play, 2 down.
So Bree Ellis comes to the plate. Her teammates in front of her have both walked. So what is she thinking? She's thinking that Miley Wachenio is coming at me, and I'm going to swing at this first pitch. And that is the biggest out potentially in this freshman's career for Ole Miss.
Courtney Day at the plate. Check, swing, strike.
You can see right away Courtney Day, patient at the plate. So what could have happened, what would have happened if maybe Bree Ellis had taken a pitch? But that's something that she's been doing a lot lately. Has been seeing a lot of pitches, have been seeing a lot of balls. So maybe just that small at bat, that one pitch was out of the game plan. It's kind of like everybody else do this. Bree Ellis, you're your own category. You do this. And it just did not work in the favor for Arkansas.
Hitters count today. Launches this into the gap in left center. Down for a base hit. Here comes Johnson to score. And the Razorback strike with 2 down in the 4th.
Courtney Day has been productive every time she's been up to the plate today. Walked, singled, and now an RBI single. Just simply getting it done behind the best hitter in the country. Not the flashiest hit, but gets it done, passes the bat, continues the rally with 2 outs.
You mentioned that come from behind walk-off win over Oklahoma State. Courtney Day was at the middle of it, driving in the game-winning run in the 8th inning. As Kaylee Wyckoff looks at ball 2. Courtney Day said after that game it was the grittiest, gutsiest performance she had seen from a Razorback team since she took over as the head coach in 2015. Almost like a proud mother. She was emotional after that win.
Well, everyone knows that it's so important to win that Saturday game and how hard it is for even a host team to come back and beat a team twice in one day. So able to get that done, sets up for Sunday. And then, of course, just to add the element to all of it is that Arkansas has struggled to get out of sometimes their own regional and their own super regionals in the last 5 years. So it's just a big exhale, like, yes, okay, we got the win, but also that sets us up so much better to be in the driver's seat to get out of this regional, which was a tough regional. That was a tough draw to get a tested Oklahoma State team, a team with an All-American arm in Ruby Malin, Kenny Gajewski, a coach that knows how to coach in the postseason. Like, that was a tough draw. You get out of it, and then here comes Ole Miss, a team that's one of the hottest teams in the country.
Luchenio misses, and that will load the bases for Ella McDowell.
And that's the third walk in this inning. I keep looking over to see if someone is in the bullpen. Aaliyah Binford was kind of standing at the top of the dugout watching.
Ole Miss does have double barrel action now as Nancy Evans, the first-year pitching coach for Ole Miss, is out of the dugout.
I do think that Miley Wood-Chanio matches up better with right-handed hitters than left-handed hitters. And I'm looking at the walks. Reagan Johnson, lefty. Reagan Kramer, lefty. And Kaylee Wyckoff, lefty. And so I think that maybe that gives me pause to think they're not going to pull Wood-Chanio. They're going to stick with her with a freshman at the plate. Biggest moment in her young career. And it's just the matchup. The righty versus the righty. Spinning the rise ball up through the zone, going in tight on the hand. Miley Wood-Chanio racks up strikeouts, but she also racks up pop-ups. What are these hats? Are these new? Have they been wearing these the whole game? Or is this like a rally thing?
There's a lot of different hats in the crowd here at Vogel Park. Cowboy hats, whatever these are. And we've also seen Woo Pig Suey hats with a hog on top.
You know what? It's May. It's mayhem. I'm just rolling with it. Not knowing information. Yeah, let's go. Vibes are up.
There's the hog hat.
Well, he's been wearing that since pregame, yeah. I understand that one.
Ramsey Walker has come into pinch run at second base for Courtney Day. And the first pitch is a strike to the second-team all-conference freshman, Ella McDowell. McDowell in the air to left. Tracking it is Pone, and that ends the inning with Chanyo closing the door on Arkansas with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Hogs play 1, they trail by 4 after 4 in Fayetteville. Ole Miss has scored in all 4 innings. It started back in the first with Aaliyah Binford, a record-setting swing to give Ole Miss a 1-run lead, becoming the all-time single-season record holder for runs batted in. Then in the third, a string of 4 consecutive 2-out extra base hits, 2 doubles by Lexi Brady and Mackenzie Pickens, and then a 3-run bomb by Ashton Lansdell, opening up the game for Ole Miss. They lead it 9-5 as we enter the 5th. Matt Schumacher, Kenzie Fowler with you, and Kenzie, this is just the way Ole Miss has been swinging the bat really over the last 2 weeks.
If you want to beat Ole Miss, you're going to have to out-hit them. And they just have not let teams do that in this NCAA tournament run.
This is not unlike what we saw from Ole Miss in the regular season series against Arkansas either. Right back to the circle. Harrison handles business against Taylor Malvin, 1 down. The Rebs outscored Arkansas 18-4. in the first 2 games of that regular season series. And so if you're Arkansas and you're down 4 late in this game, I know they've had the attitude of we don't flinch, Kenzie, but certainly the screws have to start to tighten a little bit, knowing what's on the line in this series.
You can almost look at it one of 2 ways. Like, yeah, we have the bases loaded. We're having chances. You know, in the second and the third, had 2 runners on. So that's a lot of opportunities. So the opportunities are there. Kind of pump those positive messages. But at the same time, in the same coin, have not been able to take advantage of those big opportunities.
Two count to Jaden Pone. And it misses wide for Harrison. Full count.
Also for Courtney Deifel, she's the one that's calling pitches, and so you're thinking about your top 2 arms in Robin Herron and Peyton Burnham. You're thinking about scouting matchups and getting ready to call those pitches, and that's at the forefront of your scouting report.
Pone into left. 2 outs.
So, of course, Robin Herron tries to go, but can't go past the 2nd inning. Burnham's not an option, and now you have to kind of go Berline, King, and Harrison, who I can probably just guess that that's not the top preparation that she had going into this game. You're thinking you're calling pitches for, of course, Herron and then Burnham.
Addison Duke taking her first at bat of the game. Meanwhile, Courtney Day, who began the day as the DP, now getting loose in the Arkansas bullpen. To your point, it is a thin pitching staff today. Herron and Burnham both dealing with food poisoning.
And how about Harrison? A couple of pitches away from a potential 3-up, 3-down. Ole Miss has scored in every inning.
Strike 2 to Duke. Possible momentum shifter for the Razorbacks. Duke coming in last inning for Lair Boutte as a pinch runner. Then moved over into center field with Malvin sliding into right. Takes the 2-2 into left. Kramer is there, and a 1-2-3 inning for Cam Harrison. The first of the day for Arkansas pitching. For Ole Miss and Arkansas, neither have been to the Women's College World Series. A look at all 8 teams on our half of the bracket. Liberty shocking the world last weekend, taking down Texas A&M. Very intriguing 8-9 matchup out east. South Carolina and UCLA. That game coming up later on today on our ESPN family of networks. Of course, you can watch all of the Super Regionals on the app as well.
A lot of new program names on that left side, which is incredibly exciting for our sport. Thinking about Liberty, thinking about Texas Tech, of course, our matchup. One of these teams will be a first time, OKC.
in South Carolina, what they've done this year with all the new faces, new staff. Ashley Chastain coming over from Charlotte. Has been quite a bit of parity this year.
I feel like the bracket's kind of weird in that way, where the left side is a lot of the new faces and the upsets and the fun party side, and then the right side of the bracket is the heavy hitters and, you know, the blue bloods of the sport, household names.
Seven, 8, and 9 due up for Arkansas in the fifth. Talia Rijo has continued her hot hitting at the plate today. Into right field, and Duke comes on and makes the catch. No, it's Malvin in right field. Wow.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but she got it done. Laying it out, and then arm just kind of gets tucked underneath her, but she holds on. That is so tough to do. You're hitting the ground, big impact. It's just what's on the line. Bodies are hitting the ground, but securing the ball.
First-year starter in the outfield, too, Malvin.
I saw her go hard into the fence last weekend down in Tucson. Still catching her breath over that one.
Two-0 to Kennedy Miller. Malvin is a great example of what can happen if you stick around, despite things not going your way over the first couple of years on campus. And that will hit Miller. Now, everybody in the Arkansas dugout was saying that it should have been an illegal pitch because the pitch clock expired. The ball hit Miller, and then I believe Chelsea Clark was saying she was in the river. A lot going on there, but I think what it's going to result in is a 3-0 count to Miller.
There was a
Although
lot
we'll see
going
here because
on.
now Down Brown is in for first base.
It was definitely close on the pitch clock.
Everybody in that Arkansas dugout was pointing at the clock, Courtney Deifel included.
Arkansas was challenged in the previous play that the ball hit the batter. The call on the field was the ball made contact with the batter, not totally in the batter's box.
So this is the second of two possible challenges for Courtney Deifel. She was unsuccessful on her first challenge. And we will go to the monitor again here in Fayetteville.
So it's all going to be about the positioning of where Miller is. You can see the big leg kick, and where that ball hits, it is over the river. So I do not see this being overturned. I think this call will stand because of where her arm is over the river, and the river is that space between home plate and the chalk line to the batter's box. That is a shared space between the batter and the pitcher. It does not belong to the hitter solely. It does not belong to the pitcher solely. So you cannot put your arm over that part of the plate. If it's hit, it's just kind of a dead ball. I've also seen at times where it's a dead ball strike. That can happen where hitters will turn into a ball that's coming over that river, maybe cutting the corner, and it's a strike zone, or it's in the strike zone and the hitter's going into it. So it's the umpire's judgment whether it's a ball, first of all. And I think Arkansas will be a little bit, frustrated with this because, number one, they thought they had an argument on the pitch clock, and then number two, they were thinking that this should be just a hit by pitch. I think this is over the river. Obviously, it's up in the strike zone, but I think it's over the river. Hitters don't have to move. You do not have to get out of the way. It's just where the ball is. That's the look right there for me. It is not in the batter's box. It is over the river. should be 3-0.
Apparently, our umpiring crew here in Fayetteville having some communication issues with our replay officials in Pittsburgh, so it's taking a little bit longer than maybe you or I would anticipate given all the angles we have of that pitch. Courtney Deifel getting further explanation here from Chelsea Clark. And again, to your point, everybody was up out of that Arkansas dugout shouting that there was a pitch clock violation. And Courtney Deifel came a few steps down the third base line as that pitch was coming home because she saw 3 zeros go up on the pitch clock on the scoreboard out in left field.
Well, Arkansas needs something. They need a sliver of momentum. They're willing to grasp onto anything, whether that's a pitch count violation or a hit by pitch here. And I think that's why you see the challenge. Courtney Deifel knows the moment right now here in the 5th is needing momentum. So if you can grab it, they're going to go for it.
Here comes Don Brown.
This discussion makes me think that they're talking about the potential pitch clock. Because
Agreed.
very rarely you see a discussion after the monitor.
Well, now here comes Jamie Traxel out of the Ole Miss dugout as Don Brown looked like he was about to hop on the microphone and let everybody know what's going on here. There was a lot to unpack with that one pitch. The potential for a pitch clock violation, and then, of course, what was actually being challenged, which was hit batter versus batter not being in the box. That's what Courtney Deifel is hoping for.
And this is tough on the freshman in the circle, Miley Wachenio. You just kind of have to stand out there as a pitcher. She did warm up. She was kind of keeping her arm loose, but this is quite the delay.
And now Don Brown will give us the word.
On the previous play, we had an action clock violation, which will result in a ball to the batter anyway. The count will be 3 balls and no strikes.
As we
and no challenge
thought it might be.
To Arkansas.
It's a journey to get there.
Well, that's a huge piece of it. So Arkansas will keep a challenge despite what we thought initially, which was that Courtney Deifel used up all 2. So they get the call and they keep the challenge. Maybe that's enough to gain some momentum for the Razorbacks. 3-0 count to Kennedy Miller. Batting in the 8th spot with the bases empty. 4-run deficit here in Game 1 in a best-of-3 Super Regional. And Miller looks at a strike. So basically it was much to do about nothing.
Moving on.
Playing softball again. 3-1 from Wachenio. Miller flaring it into right field. Back on it. Pickens makes the catch from second base. Had to go a long way for that second out.
Well, every single out, I should say, for Miley Wachenio has been in the air. This is a strikeout pitcher who doesn't have a strikeout yet here in relief. Came on in the 3rd, but every out to the Arkansas hitters has been up in the air, spinning the rise, working in the inner half to the righties. A lot of jam balls.
She's faced 10 batters, has allowed just 1 hit while walking 3. The rest have all popped out. Harley Davison batting in the 9th spot, trying to turn the lineup over to Reagan Johnson. In the air to left field. Back on it is Duke. It is gone. 2-out solo bomb for Carly Davison. And life for the Razorbacks late in Fayetteville.
A little energy, a little 2-out energy for Arkansas. Davison had that double in the second, kind of got life going. It didn't result into any runs, but hit it very sharply, and then this is a low inside rise. Wachenio again working arm side to the right-handed hitters, but not enough up in the zone, and Carly Davison just squares that thing up dead center.
Davison now with 5 home runs this year, 2 of them coming in the NCAA tournament. Had a home run in the Fayetteville Regional last week, and now a home run in the Super. And for the first time in program history, Arkansas has multiple home runs in a Super Regional game. 3-run deficit, 0-2 count to Reagan Johnson. Upstairs, ball 1. Hogs slowly but surely trying to claw their way back into this game. I think I set the over-under last night at dinner at 12. For combined runs scored in this game. I was way off.
This is not a game 1 score. But again, this is what the storyline has been across our sport this entire year. It has been an offensive year. It has been a tough year to be a pitcher.
$15 combined runs. 6 pitchers used. 2-2 is beating the shift into left field. Digging for 2. Johnson in with a 2-out double.
That was electric. Had the 3 infielders on the left side and just powers it up. Says, I see your 3 infielders, and I'm going to get it through you. And then because of the shift, of course, nobody in right field, so you have your right fielder moving over to center, and they're running in the left center gap. While they're chasing down a ball, Reagan Johnson is turning on the burners, and she's turning on her energy.
Among the best to ever do it in Arkansas softball history, Reagan Johnson, the only Hog with multiple 70-hit seasons. Her double passing the bat to Reagan Kramer here with 2 outs. And Bree Ellis, the potential game-tying run on deck here in the bottom of the 5th. One from Wachenio.
I feel like, of course, hindsight, I'm just a booth coach up here, but you look at the 2 lefties at the top of the lineup. Bree Lopez, who started this game lefty, could have re-entered after the home run to the righty Carly Davidson. For just a little matchup, because Wachenio has struggled with the lefties.
And we did see Lopez warming up in the bullpen at one point in this inning. 2 potentially re-enter. Instead, it's the freshman Miley Wachenio with a hitter's count and Bree Ellis on deck. 2 outs in the 5th. And Kramer draws a walk for Bree Ellis.
Well, this is the second time in straight innings where Reagan Kramer has walked to bring up Bree Ellis. Last inning, it was a first pitch swinging from Bree, a pop-up to the third baseman, Ashton Lansdale. Is she swinging first pitch here? Is Ole Miss pitching to her?
Jamie Traxel and Nancy Evans out of the Ole Miss dugout prior to this at bat.
I liked that look of Bree Ellis kind of watching the coaching staff come out of the dugout. Like, I'm watching you. What are you going to do?
There has been a slight drought for Bree Ellis and her home run hitting. Last came on May 2nd in the opening round of the SEC tournament. But she is one home run away from breaking the SEC single season record with 27. A home run here ties it in the fifth inning of Game 1 of this Fayetteville Super Regional. And it will be the freshman Miley Wachenio staying in the circle for Ole Miss. And that got a piece of Ellis. And she will take first base. And so it's Courtney Day's turn.
I think Ole Miss might have had an argument, which is what we spent about 10 minutes talking about on the other side of a hit by pitch, over the river, outside of the batter's box. To me, that left elbow right there, I think Ole Miss could have had an argument that that is a dead ball. Obviously, Bree Ellis is in a little bit of pain there. But because of who it is, the free pass, loading up the bases, now setting up a force out, and you kind of get rid of the best hitter in the lineup, maybe it's just one of those things where Ole Miss is like, okay, we'll take it. I mean, Courtney Day has 2 singles in this game, but keyword singles, versus a hitter like Bree Ellis. When she runs into it, well, we know what she can do.
Courtney Day was part of the Texas Longhorn team that came into Fayetteville in 2022 and upset the Razorbacks as an unseeded team en route to a Women's College World Series appearance. And now Day, in her final season of collegiate softball, trying to help Arkansas, the team she knocked out a couple of years ago, reach its first Women's College World Series appearance. Tying run aboard here in the 5th. Reagan Johnson, Reagan Kramer, and of course Bree Ellis loading the bases for Arkansas. 2-2 count today. The pitch from Wachenio. Day goes down on strikes. The freshman, Miley Wachenyo, with the biggest strikeout of her career, ending the Razorback bid in the 5th.
Well, back-to-back innings where Arkansas has had the bases loaded and the freshman is not flinching. The only strikeout that she has had today is the biggest one. Wow.
Dixon Street in downtown Fayetteville, sparse on this Friday afternoon. Why? Because everybody is at Bogle Park, darn it. Game 1 of a 3-game set with Ole Miss. Winner goes to the Women's College World Series. Loser goes home. And if you're just joining us, Matt Schumacher, Kenzie Fowler with you. This game has had a little bit of everything. 6 combined pitchers, 15 combined runs on 16 hits. And the first pitch strike to Aaliyah Binford out of the arm of Cam Harrison, the 4th pitcher used this afternoon for Arkansas. The Rebels have scored in 4 of their 5 runs at the plate so far in this game. Binford has been part of 2 of those scoring innings. A home run in the 1st and a run scored in the 3rd. Two-one count to Aaliyah Binford.
I really thought this was going to be the 7th inning between break. Obviously, it's top of the 6th, but just the way that this game has gone, I looked down at my scorebook and I said, no way. It's only the 6th?
I agree.
I was
just
so sure.
At the clock on this game. It has been a long game with lots of hits. Of course, a couple of coaches' challenges, sending our umpiring crew to the review monitor. And Courtney Deifel's Arkansas Razorbacks have just had to grind it out. While Jamie Traxell's Ole Miss Rebels came out firing early. Fouled off the end of the bat of Binford. And for Ole Miss, 9 runs is the most they have ever scored in a super regional. Carrying a 3-run lead into the 6th. Binford in the air to right. And it dies off the end of her bat into the glove of Wyckoff, 1 down.
One thing that's kind of cool for me between these 2 teams is there's so many stats where so-and-so is the first to do this team is the first to do that, and it just shows Arkansas and Ole Miss, right, trying to get the first to OKC, be the first team to do it, because these are teams with not a ton of history. If you think about the SEC powerhouses, you think of Alabama, you're thinking of Florida, of course, now you're thinking Oklahoma being new to the SEC, but teams with storied history going back to the 90s and the early 2000s, these programs just were not there. And so that's just like a really cool little sidebar thing to think about, that you have the opportunity to set single-season home run records and be the first team to make it to super regionals and potentially be the first team to, and be the first coach to lead your team to OKC. It's a lot of newness in this matchup.
Big cut from the freshman Yamas. Ole Miss seeking their first super regional victory in program history. Was swept in each of the last 2 appearances. One down and a 1-2 count. Meanwhile, speaking of firsts, Arkansas, until last week in that comeback win against Oklahoma State, was previously 0-17 when trailing in the NCAA tournament after 5 innings. They're looking for their second comeback when trailing after 5 in as many weeks. Today against Ole Miss, Yamas right into the middle of Wyckoff, 2 down. So I guess if you're the Razorback faithful, you could take some comfort in that stat.
Now home team will get 2 more at-bats.
Two down for Lexi Brady. Kennedy Miller thought that was a strike and needed home plate umpire Chelsea Clark to explain that one.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you see the catcher just fully turn around to the umpire to ask where this is. This is a strike. Textbook.
In the air to left. 1-2-3 inning. All 3 lineouts for Cam Harrison. 6 outs left for the Razorbacks. Wyckoff leads it off next. Ole Miss Rebels have scored 9 runs in this game, 8 of them coming with 2 outs. That is why they lead by 3. Meanwhile, the Razorbacks have had their chances offensively, Kenzie Fowler. They have left 10 on base, including the bases loaded in the last half inning against Miley Wichenio. And now with just 6 outs left in game 1 of the Super Regional in Fayetteville, the middle of the lineup with Kaylee Wyckoff leading things off.
Yeah, just looking back at those back-to-back bases loaded opportunities, both times were in the heart of the lineup. 2, 3, and 4. And Ole Miss and Miley Wichenio has just been dancing out of trouble time and time again.
Wyckoff playing in her first NCAA tournament after transferring over from Texas Tech, who ironically is also in the Super Regional this year, stealing one from Florida State last night. She has been terrific. 4 for 11 in the regional with 6 runs batted in, and already in the Super, a home run and 3 RBI. That came back in the first inning.
Miley Wichenio continues to go for Ole Miss and came in on the 3rd, but it has been stressful innings for the freshman.
Boy, has she pitched in some high leverage moments in this game. Bases loaded 2 separate innings against the freshman arm. Misses upstairs, full count to Wyckoff.
The only issue that she has had is the walks. Every walk that she's issued, if this is another walk, this would be the 5th. But every walk has been to a lefty.
Her 70th pitch of this relief appearance. Wyckoff up the middle, charging on DeLeon. One down. Wouldn't you know it, and out on the ground.
I was just thinking that not only was she able to attack the lefty and be on the better side of that matchup because she hasn't done it yet, but then it's also, of course, the out is on the ground.
First out, not either in the air or a strikeout for Wachenio today. Now Jamie Traxel coming out to Chelsea Clark. We may see a pitching change for Ole Miss here in the 6th. If the day is done for Wachenio, what an effort by the freshman in her first Super Regional appearance. And we will have a pitching change when we come back in Fayetteville. Miley Wachenio twice wiggling out of bases loaded jams in this game to maintain a lead for her team into the 6th. She exits with one out and the bases empty. And the 6th-year senior, Aaliyah Binford, comes in to try and close out the 6th against Arkansas.
Yeah, going from one righty, one freshman who's up spin with the rise, to another righty, a senior who is down spin with the drop. And I like the way that Jamie Traxel has used her pitchers today. I love the fact that you have the veteran experience to come in and try and close this game. Aaliyah Binford rolls a lot of ground ball outs. We were talking about how Wachenio is very up in the air. Of course, allowed a ground ball out in her last at bat, but everything else was up in the air, and so Binford, she's going to work the dirt, work the drop.
It is interesting for Ole Miss. They've primarily used a staff of 3, and we're seeing all 3 in game 1 of the Super Regional. Meanwhile, Arkansas has had a deeper staff this year, but today, unfortunately, they've been unable to utilize that depth because of food poisoning to Robin Herron and Peyton Burnham.
I mean, we'll see her on the back half of this inning, but got to give some love to Cam Harrison, who has come in relief for Arkansas and has kept the game at bay. Just kind of waiting around for her offense to support her.
Cam Harrison had not pitched since the last regular season series, as McDowell draws a one-out walk. Actually, it was called a hit by pitch, but regardless, it was a 3-1 count, and she is aboard. And in steps Italia Rijo. Chopper right back to Binford. Spinning throw to second in time. The turn will not get to first in time. Rijo just beats that out. 2 down.
helping herself out here, getting Riho to roll over her drop. A little bit of a high throw for De Leon to handle. I feel like if Binford is able to spin that a little bit quicker, I know Riho runs very well down the line, but potential for a double play there, but the throw is just a little bit too up, a little bit too slow.
Strike one to Kennedy Miller. Has singled in this game. Trying to pass the bat to Carly Davison in the 9-hole.
Or you wear the ankle guard. If you don't, man, those are with you for the rest of your life. Those bruises on your ankles.
Same with the big elbow guard. You take a rise up and in off the funny bone, no thanks. Miller fooled on the change. And Aaliyah Binford comes in and closes the door on the Razorbacks in the 6th.
Pulling the string, the senior, the veteran in relief. Catching, Kennedy Miller looking.
Our Capital One rewarding performance this afternoon is the Ole Miss Bats. Solo shot in the first inning for Aaliyah Binford, setting a new single-season program record for runs batted in. Then later, Ashton Lansdale with 2 outs, 2-run bomb, continuing the home run trend for this Ole Miss team this year. Much improved offensively when you look at this year's numbers compared to last, and home runs certainly a big part of that.
And it's just been the new pieces, right? You see Binford on the left, Lansdale on the right. Those are 2 players new to Ole Miss this season.
Meanwhile, in the circle, the unsung hero for the Hogs today has been Cam Harrison in relief. 3 innings pitched, no hits, no runs. And again, this is her first postseason appearance of her career. She is a freshman who last pitched in the final regular season series of 2025.
Yeah, look at that line. Doesn't have any strikeouts, but continues to get it done.
Bouncing ball. Going to be a tough play. Deep in the hole. It's short, and a skying throw from Riho. Caroms off the dugout wall of Ole Miss and keeps Pickens at first.
Harrison had back-to-back 3-up, 3-down innings in the 5th and then in the 6th. So Ole Miss getting something going here, getting that leadoff runner on. Mackenzie Pickens should be a single.
And so that wipes out the hitless relief appearance for Cam Harrison. But nonetheless, fantastic. In a game in which Courtney Deifel probably didn't expect to have to use Harrison.
I can almost guarantee you that she didn't think that Cam Harrison would be pitching here in the 7th inning on game 1 of Supers. But the top 2 arms for Arkansas ultimately unavailable. We did see Robin Herron. It's just so impressive that she was able to go out there at all. And food poisoning is as bad as it gets. Nope.
1-1 to Lansdale. Tried to drop down a bunt. It's foul. Back to first will go Pickens. I've had food poisoning twice in my life. There was no chance I was leaving my room, let alone pitching in a super regional in either of those cases.
It's literally the worst thing in the world. But that just tells you, like, what is on the line here.
No doubt.
These players will do anything to get to Oklahoma City.
And we hope, for the sake of our series, that both are okay going forward after today. Both have been instrumental to Arkansas to this point in the year. 2-2 count to Lansdale, nobody out and a runner on. Top 7 in Fayetteville. In the dirt, it gets through. Past Miller. Taking a wide roundabout second base as Pickens thought maybe for a second she might try to swipe third. It will go down as a stolen base for Pickens, and so Ole Miss has a pair in game 1 of the Super. One down on the ground out to Davison. By the way, if you're joining us looking for the first of 2 semifinals in our women's lacrosse Final Four, that is coming up next. Currently airing on ESPN News. We'll get you out to Florida and North Carolina at the conclusion of our game here in Fayetteville. Angelina DeLeon digs in. Runner goes. Miller snap throw down to third. Not in time. 2 stolen bases this inning for Mackenzie Pickens. And again, Miller maybe a little bit slow with the throw. And there might be a challenge here from Arkansas.
Well, that's the second time Ole Miss has stolen third base, and you just do not see that very often in our sport at this level.
Arkansas was challenging the previous play at second base of the runner leaving early. The play is under review.
Oh, interesting here. So no question about whether or not she was safe at third, but whether or not Pickens left early from second base.
Back foot is on the base there, and she did. Wow. It was a straight-up steal with a right-handed batter in the box. A little bit of a protected steal, so you see DeLeon show bunt. You see her kind of pull back late. That's to distract Miller behind the plate. That's also to pull in Ellen McDowell a step or two. Cause a little bit of chaos at who's covering third, whether it's Riho or McDowell. But this should be overturned.
And how big is it that the last time Courtney Deifel challenged regarding the hit ball at home plate, it ended up being a pitch clock violation, and therefore she was awarded that challenge back. Able to use it now in the 7th and potentially wipe some insurance off the board for Ole Miss.
For Arkansas, I'm already looking over at my scorebook, and the top of the lineup is looming.
And honestly, Carly Davison in the 9-hole, who will lead off next inning, has been terrific. 2 extra base hits in this game, including a home run.
After review, the call on the field has been changed. The runner did leave early. That's the second out of the inning. That's Arkansas' second and final challenge. The count will be 1 ball, no strikes.
Massive overturn there. So Pickens off the base paths, and now 2 outs, and the base is clear for DeLeon with a 1-0 count from Cam Harrison. And to Kenzie Fowler's point, next half inning for Arkansas, they'll be down to their final 3 outs with Davison, Johnson, and Kramer. 9-1 and 2. 2 up in the bottom of the 7th.
1 0 count. 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 1
Line drive, deep center field. Johnson makes the catch, crashing into the wall. Gold glove effort from Reagan Johnson. Keeps it a 3-run game in Fayetteville. Back in Fayetteville, bottom of the 7th. Arkansas trailing Ole Miss by 3 in game 1 of a potential 3-game set for a trip to the Women's College World Series. Matt Schumacher, the Hall of Famer Kenzie Fowler with you. This game has had it all. And now Arkansas down to its final 3 outs with Carly Davison, Reagan Johnson, and Reagan Kramer due up in the inning, with Bree Ellis potentially looming in the Arkansas dugout, and Aaliyah Binford back in the circle, pitching in her 2nd Super Regional. Last year for Baylor, this year for Ole Miss.
What a luxury for Jamie Traxel to have that kind of experience transfer into your program for a moment like this. I mean, talk about going from the true freshman in Huachenio to the super senior in Binford, who has been on this stage.
The last time Arkansas trailed by 3, entering the bottom of the 7th, was a week ago right here on this field against Oklahoma State. They wound up scoring 3 runs in the 7th, forcing extras, and walked it off in the bottom of the 8th. First walk-off, first extra inning win in program history in the NCAA tournament. 2-1 to Davison.
There's a little miscommunication there with Binford shaking off a pitch, and then her and Lexi Brady working very quickly to try and figure out what they wanted. These are 2 seniors trying to get on the same page.
(3-1) taking all the way, and Davison leads off the 7th with a walk. 3rd time aboard for the Arkansas starting second baseman.
Well, you know as a pitcher that you are facing the 9 batter, and you know how many runs you're up. You're up 3. So you're telling yourself, don't walk the 9 batter. Don't walk the 9 batter, and sometimes what you do is you walk the 9 batter.
Last time Reagan Johnson came to the plate, she beat the shift incredibly, putting it through 3 fielders on the left side for a double. Down in the count 0-2. One of the most prolific bats in program history at the plate here for Arkansas. Johnson left side, Lansdale goes to second. It gets off the glove, and both runners are safe. A rare miscue by Ashton Lansdale.
Well, it's the confusion on who is covering second base, because you have 4 infielders over there, and you have Mackenzie Pickens, who's the true second baseman, but she was moving from a shortstop position. And so in that situation, typically your second baseman, which was Taylor Malvin, who is your right fielder, that should have been her ball. But instinct takes over. Mackenzie Pickens is the second baseman, and so she's going to go over there, a little bit of a last hesitation, like, oh, is this not me? And the ball gets up away from her, and so Lansdale sees that as well. Who's got second? And then the throw gets away.
Tying run at the plate in the form of Reagan Kramer. One thing you have to say about the Arkansas offense in this game, they have been incredibly patient. Grinding out at bats, forcing walks. Kramer has already twice walked in this game, and now a 2-2 count with Bree Ellis on deck for the Hogs in the bottom of the 7th. Goes down on strikes. Big first out for Aaliyah Binford.
She is going to need this pitch against Bree Ellis if Ole Miss chooses to pitch to Bree Ellis. Both changeups that Binford has had in on relief have been on the change.
Nancy Evans wants to chat with her super senior before this at bat against Bree Ellis. Bree Ellis is still hitless in the NCAA tournament. 7 walks, 2 hit by pitches, and today a couple of pop outs. Will she get something to barrel up here? One of the most prolific home run hitters in the history of the Southeastern Conference, certainly in the history of the Arkansas softball program.
I would carefully pitch around her.
You would?
I would.
With Courtney Day looming.
You take your chance with someone other than the best player and the best hitter in the country from beating you.
A top 3 finalist for National Player of the Year. Let's see what Binford does.
That is a hittable pitch right there for Bree Ellis. She swung first pitch back in the 4th when the bases were loaded. It popped up. There's Miley Wachenio in the circle. That was a very hittable ball.
Big shift on for Ellis here. 3 infielders to the left side. Missing low. Ellis homered off Binford in their regular season series back in March. Went 4 for 8 against Ole Miss with 7 runs batted in. Second-year hitting coach DJ Gasso told us since the beginning of SEC play, he sensed a noticeably different presence about Bree Ellis in the box this year. Boy, has that played out in the Razorbacks' favor.
There it is.
Wow! Binford rings her up, looking on the outside corner, 2 down.
I was waiting for that pitch. And it's one of those things where you test it out. The first pitch of the at-bat, she got the called strike. Bree Ellis was not swinging. And so maybe it's one of those things where first pitch, let's see how aggressive she is. That is the biggest strikeout.
Arkansas down to its final out here in game 1. Tying run at the plate in Courtney Day. Already 2 hits in this game, including an RBI single. Rio today. Should she reach, Kaylee Wyckoff, who, remember, had that 3-run homer in the first inning to put Arkansas on top early, awaits on deck. And a walk to load the bases. tying run aboard in the bottom of the 7th with Kaylee Wyckoff coming to the plate.
It felt like a long time ago. Back in the first, if you were with us then. What's up? How's it going? Thanks for staying with us. It has been a long, long game with a lot of offense. And that was a big swing. It was the first pitch that Kaylee Wyckoff saw, a 3-run shot after Ole Miss had punched first with a home run. Things got a little bit out of hand for Arkansas. Ole Miss put up 4 in the 3rd.
Casey Wood coming into pinch run. That ball gets away from Brady, and the score is Davison from 3rd. And now the tying run in scoring position for the Razorbacks.
And Kaylee Wyckoff is not a power hitter that you have to be worried about her going long. Of course, we just saw her do that here in this game, but she is a contact hitter. She has the ability to get to a lot of balls. Is very short, has a very short swing, great barrel control.
In the words of her head coach, Courtney Deifel, she's a gamer. 2 walk-off hits in the regular season. Could she walk it off here? For Arkansas in the bottom of the 7th, a game in which they have trailed for the majority. After Ole Miss came out punching hard and often. 2-1 in the right field, headed towards the wall, and it is caught by Malvin. A few feet away from ending this game on the right side of the win-loss column, and instead it's Ole Miss taking game 1.